If you're not aware, SRAM Axis group sets have a different front ring arrangement and a different rear cassette arrangement, and that is because they have a 10 tooth as their hardest gear on their cassette. Now, why have other brands not gone to this, and could this be a problem? Now, SRAM took the option of transplanting their XTR system from the mountain bike systems over to their road systems, and a lot of advantages to this because it means they don't have to retool, and across their whole group set range everything is compatible from their 1 to their 2 to their mountain bike system. But there is some disadvantages with running smaller rings and smaller cassettes. They're less efficient. Now you might say, so what? You know, I hardly ever use my 10 tooth and I only use it when I'm going downhill to give me a bit of a push. So what's the big deal? Now the big deal is that they're calling this a 12 speed. It's not 11 speed with kind of like an overdrive. And it's a very expensive group set. And it's supposed to be like the most top end, lightest, the most efficient system. But it's so inefficient that Trek Segafredo basically had special front rings made so they could run the system without having to ride in the 10 tooth. So basically they used it as a 11 tooth system. And this is because at 250 watts output, they're losing 6 watts. And the wattage actually increases not at a linear rate, but much higher than a linear rate as the wattage increases. So as you get to these higher wattages that the pros use, where you're getting to 400, 450 watts, that wattage that's being lost is very significant indeed. Now on my channel, we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about rolling resistance, we've talked about aerodynamics, and all of these marginal gains that they have out there. And you can argue, yeah, they give you a small margin, they give you a big margin or whatever. But when you have a drivetrain system that's supposed to be the top end of what you can buy for a push bike, and I mean these systems are very expensive, especially if you buy the red, and you're giving away probably 6 to 10 or even more watts when you're riding the bike. And if you're someone like a competitive cyclist that can put out significant watts, that's actually quite a concern, because even though people may not realize, all of these things like rolling resistance and the clinches they're using to get the interface correct between the rim and the tire and changing the tire shape and also concealing cables, these wattage gains are very small, much smaller than what the losses are in the SRAM Axis drivetrain. So I really think when you're rolling out your next bike, you really need to consider if you're willing to accept this sort of significant watt loss, because it makes the 10 tooth pretty useless in a race format because it's just too efficient. And that's before we even talk about the increased wear that you're going to get from having smaller chain rings and cassettes. Anyway guys, that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. And now let's just jump over to Comments Corner. Well, the last video was about expandable polystyrene, and it's where they're using this foam inside the frames to be able to make the frames lighter. So if you haven't checked it out, go and watch that one. Well, anyway, some of the comments that were suggested was that this polystyrene is not very environmental friendly. It takes a long time to break down. So are bikes really using this, and how are they disposing of it? Well, when I was looking at some of the articles and doing the research on that topic, there was a lot of articles about recycling this styrofoam. So I don't know exactly if these manufacturers are using it, or some are or some aren't, but there is a lot of evidence to say that this can be recycled for this application. So that was the first comment. And the second comment was that don't get EPO mixed up with EPS. Now, we both know they're performance enhancing when it comes to speed, but obviously one that you take orally and the other one you stick between your legs. Okay guys, that's where I'm going to leave it for this vid. and I'll see you next video. Cheers.